Movies, movies, movies. It's that time of the week again. Step on up for your 7-day guide to everything worth catching in the world of film. I'm Van Connor. This is Off Screen. We got the Beatles, we got Spider-Man, and we got a mission to the moon, and we got a red killer dress. All those to come and more off screen. Stick around.
Groovy.
Welcome to Off Screen. I'm Van Connor. I'm joined this week, brilliant guest, filmmaker of In Circles, the forthcoming White Chamber with Shauna MacDonald, and my man Oded Fair, and my fellow talk radio film critic, Mr. Jonnie Hurn. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hello, Van. How are you doing?
I'm all good. I got to see a new Spider-Man movie. I'm always happy about that. I know you're not a comic book guy.
No. You go ahead. Be really happy about seeing a Spider-Man movie. I will go and do anything else, literally anything else.
There was one you saw that you really liked, though, wasn't there?
I love Black Panther. Black Panther was brilliant because it wasn't a traditional kind of superhero movie.
No, it was Lion King with superheroes.
It was a proper movie. It was a proper film with a proper story.
All right, Grandad. Honestly. Okay, so let's go back to something more your speed then. Let's start this week by looking at a movie about the Beatles.
Yeah.
Let's talk about yesterday. So set the plot of yesterday up for me, Johnny.
Well, just imagine if you woke up one day and the Beatles had never existed.
Okay.
Only you could remember all the songs.
Right.
Now, what would you do?
I would immediately trademark them all and profit off them in perpetuity forever and ever.
Of course you would. Why? Because they're some of the greatest songs ever written. Who wouldn't do that? And that's exactly the premise of this film. You have a singer-songwriter who's having a terrible career, is not going anywhere, plays to a handful of kids at a festival. And
so he's 99% of singer-songwriters?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, and he has one sort of big fan, played by Lily James, who's also his manager, secretly in love with him. And he's...
Is it secretly, though?
Well,
is it?
Initially, yeah, but then, it comes out. It's a Richard Curtis film.
We've not said that yet. This is written by Richard Curtis.
Yes.
Who, of course, brought us Four Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, Love Actually, The Boat That Rocked, Blackadder. Yeah.
So Richard Curtis, who sometimes writes something brilliant and sometimes writes something
brilliant,
absolutely terrible. So you have this young singer-songwriter played by Himesh Patel, and...
So introducing Himesh Patel, and we'll get to that.
Yes, absolutely.
Introducing.
And very good it is as well. And so he wakes up having had an accident, and I'm not going to go into all the details. It is quite convoluted, but anyway, he wakes up in a world where the Beatles have never existed, and he can remember the songs. He plays them. People think that he suddenly started writing all these brilliant songs, when actually he's just recreating all the Beatles songs. And he very quickly becomes champion as the greatest singer-songwriter in the world.
On which note, we've got a clip. This is Ed Sheeran schooling him on how he might jazz up the song Hey Jude.
Let me just give you this advice, right? Song title. I won't charge you a penny for it as well. Hey, dude.
Hey, dude. Hey, dude. Are you sure?
He's right. That's so much better.
Is he? Is it?
Yeah. Hey, dude. Don't make it bad. Definitely going to be one of the best songs of the generation. Hey, dude.
Wake up, Jack.
Hey, dude.
Don't make it bad. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
It's got a wit to this, hasn't it?
I laughed quite a lot during this. There's one gag, which obviously I'm not going to reveal. There's one gag that I laughed really, really loudly about, and it's not to do with the Beatles. Actually, it's to do with something else that doesn't exist in this world.
There's a few of those. I had an issue with one of them because I was like, that requires so much foreknowledge and research, and it's really obscure, and I don't quite see how that works. And it also involves a conversation about the Beach Boys. But there's I can nitpick it.
Yeah.
The film makes no sense when you put it under any kind of scrutiny.
Yeah, but then, but why should it make sense? It doesn't have to make sense. It's not meant to make sense. It's meant to be a feel-good movie that makes you laugh.
Although, come on, this is a movie in which Lily James plays the world's hottest math teacher, friend-zoned by a man so gormless that he has no idea, but he otherwise has the intelligence to manipulate a shift in the multiverse.
Yes.
I mean, that's something you'd need Richard Curtis to sell that idea.
I'm not entirely sure that he makes the shift in the multiverse. I think it's probably the bus that hits him that makes the shift in the multiverse.
Right, correct me if I'm wrong, though. Ed Sheeran's terrible, right?
No, I thought he was all right. No. I have to say, I don't mind Ed Sheeran in this because he's not Chris Martin. And the original idea was Chris Martin from the awful Coldplay. And as you know, I have this allergy to Coldplay. I absolutely
Everyone
detest-
has an
I-
allergy to
hang
Coldplay.
on. But he originally was going to be in it. But
Yeah.
give him his credit. He actually he put on a wig and he dressed up and he made a little video and he sent it to Richard Curtis pretending to be his own agent, saying that he was unavailable to do the film. But he did it because he's a terrible actor and he admits that he's a terrible actor. So thankfully, Coldplay and Chris Martin are not in it. But Ed Sheeran, I thought he was really funny. I really liked him.
If you say so, I thought he was, David Beckham in King Arthur.
Oh, no, he's not that bag.
I did,
No.
though. I really liked Joel Fry from Plebs, who plays a sort of Glasto Stifler in there. He's his roadie
very
friend.
good. He's Rocky.
Lily James has got more than enough charm to pull off being kind of just the love interest.
Well, Lily James, yeah, she's amazing enough to be able to play that kind of geeky, quirky, and still make her,
She's got that adorkable thing down.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
Yeah.
So, yesterday, yay or nay from you? Thumbs up, thumbs down, what were you giving it?
Oh, absolutely, thumbs up. I absolutely loved it.
Yep, that's good. Okay, well, I mean, and a rocking soundtrack, obviously. Oh, I will add this about it, right? As much as I liked it, more about it works than doesn't. But there is a scene in it that is the hold my beer answer to the 9/11 monologue from the beginning of Love Actually. You know the beginning of Love Actually when Hugh Grant just randomly drops in that reference to September the 11th.
Yeah.
Like, there's an entire scene towards the end of this. You know which one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah,
as well.
absolutely, yeah.
That's just, wow, just hold my Oakley's bra. Like, that level of just dunderheaded. But other than that, the movie really works. We've got to move on then really quickly because we've only got a few minutes to talk about Apollo 11, which I know you'll have seen.
Apollo 11, yes, a documentary about the Apollo 11 lunar landings. But what is different about this is that it's not presented as a traditional documentary. You don't have any talking heads.
No.
You don't have a narrator saying, and then this happened. No, all it is just actual footage from the time presented in chronological order.
Exactly,
and a
right.
lot of it is footage that has never been seen before, and footage that was shot by the 3 astronauts on the mission as well, which is just astonishing.
Did you feel at times like you were watching rolling news coverage without the actual
Yes.
cutaways back to the studio?
Yeah, but and the fact they also have bits from Walter Cronkite as well. Things, it did feel like you were watching a condensed sort of News 24 kind of thing.
I wanted, because I know rolling news wasn't a thing back then,
No.
and it's a shame because I wanted to be able to see it cut back to the actual digitally restored footage. 'Cause
Yeah.
a lot of it's digitally cleaned
it
up,
has
and
been,
it
yeah.
looks immaculate.
It's
doesn't it?
stunning, and it's so good. It looks like the footage that has been recreated for films like Apollo 13 and First Man. It's
does,
so good.
doesn't it?
It's so good. It looks fake. I mean, that's
Almost. I'll tell you what, we've got a clip to kind of show off the authenticity of this, because the only thing that you'll get from this clip that's been added is obviously the score, the musical score by, I think it's Matt Morton.
which was all played on instruments available in 1969.
Is that actually true? Oh my god, okay, well here you go, here's a clip of Apollo 11.
The whole Apollo program was designed to get 2 Americans to the lunar surface and back again to Earth safely. The enormity of this event is something that only history will be able to judge. Apollo 11 has very simply been given the mission of carrying men to the moon, landing them there, and bringing them safely back. You can feel it in here when Apollo feels like the colors gonna...
I thought this was astonishing. I was really blown away by this.
And it looks incredible as well. It's most documentaries, they're great to watch on your TV. There are very few documentaries that I'd say go to the cinema to watch this, but this one, absolutely, you should see it on the biggest screen possible.
And they're releasing this in IMAX as well. Apparently, it's on one show a night in IMAX screens. So I'm really tempted.
Would love to see it on IMAX.
I know.
Because there is a lot of 70mm footage in it as well, being geeky and technical there. But it's visually it's stunning, and it's so different to any other kind of documentary, and I was blown away by it.
I was so engaged. I sat there and I thought, wow, I feel like I have just experienced this. It's such
you go along with it.
Complete record. You're so invested in it. But also, did you find that though it gave a real sense of tangibility, of actual presence to events that are a whole world away from you personally? Because you like I weren't around during the Apollo 11 mission, and it always feels like something that's detached from our lifetime.
The way that it's presented and the way that it's shot and the way that it looks, it makes you feel as though this is something that happened just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're very much going along for the ride with them.
Incidentally, this is timed for the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 mission,
Of course,
which is coming up in, about 3 weeks? I believe, just over
20th of July, I think it was,
Yeah, it's directed by Todd Miller, brothers Dinosaur 13, 5 or 6 years ago. It's in IMAX cinemas, absolutely check it out. It also, like yesterday, is in cinemas for Friday, June 28th. We'll be back with more, so stick around. And we're back with more cinematic fun. I'm joined by Mr. John Hurn.
Hello.
So, where should we go next? Should we talk about In Fabric next? That's out this week. That's the new Curzon. It's sort of a horror offering from Curzon, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of it's sort of a Hammer House of Horror type 1960s style horror movie. Yeah.
A little bit. Less are you being
arty.
served, more are you being murdered?
A very arty horror movie.
It is. So it comes to us from writer-director Peter Strickland, who made Barbarian Sound Studio, if you remember that from way back with Toby Jones.
Yeah, a wonderfully bizarre, unusual film, but yeah.
And I think sets a great precedent
Yes.
for In Fabric, which we've not got a clip of, by the way. But did you ever see Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson? Years
Yes,
ago?
I hated that film.
No, I did as well.
Appalling
I
movie.
respected what they were trying to do with it, but it just didn't work
the only
for me.
film companies who ever make a movie in our broth, I think, was what they were trying to do, and there's a reason for that.
Exactly. So, also, how much did Stranger Things rip off Under the Skin in the end? That's a weird one.
But Stranger Things did it much better,
Well, it
as
did,
indeed
it did.
anybody.
Okay,
could do
we
it
will
much
talk
better.
Stranger Things later, sir. We will. Okay, so In Fabric, this stars Marianne Jean-Baptiste,
Yes.
Leo Bill. It stars Hayley Squires from
Yes.
I, Daniel Blake.
I don't know, but yes.
I believe. Also, Steve Oram and Julian Barrett, who I adore. I love these two.
Yeah, they play the sort of. I don't know. Are they a couple as well as work colleagues? I kind of get that.
I
sense.
honestly couldn't tell you.
I
So
was
the basic.
getting that.
How would you describe the plot of In Fabric then?
The plot is there's a dress that is it's somehow possessed, and anybody who wears it ends up having terrible accidents.
A series of unfortunate events before them.
A series of not very many unfortunate events, but there are, there is this one particular dress, and whenever anybody gets hold of it, it starts to do weird things, and you can't get rid of it. It's a little bit like a Chucky doll, but it just happens to be a dress.
It also works across gender lines as well,
Yes.
which I thought was an interesting
Well, that
addition.
was-
That was an
yes.
interesting twist. Gorgeous to look at. Like, there's some amazing visuals in this. I think it's like nothing you've ever seen before. But both in terms of the sort of style and tone
Yeah.
of it as well. It's very, very 70s Euro horror, I found at times.
Yeah, and the shop, the store where this dress is sold, is staffed by some very bizarre sellers who
went
do
with
this sort of performance art as they're selling. And what I liked about this were the conversations that they would have were very elaborate, and you couldn't just have a straight conversation. Hello, I'd like this dress. They would just come up with this incredible language and this sort of performance that they in order to sell you these things.
I went with Brood era Cronenbergian. That's kind of what I stuck
That's the
with
kind
on.
of language they use. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, lots of flary shirts, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that I really like because that's just really weird and unusual, and But it's the rest of it. I got to admit, I wasn't particularly taken with it.
No, it didn't grip me.
No.
It intrigued me, but it never gripped me. I would say. with
it was
that one.
very much style over substance. There
most
isn't a
def, yeah,
great
definitely.
deal of if there were more stories in it, if the dress that goes through 7 or 8 people.
I had the same observation because it takes place in the 70s and then near enough now.
Yeah.
And that's it. You think, was there meant to be an 80s and 90s in there? And
Yeah.
it does feel like you've left the extended editions of those two storylines in
Yeah.
and forgotten to put the other two. I had the exact same thought as well with it.
It needs more content. It's a great idea, and it looks very intriguing, but it just doesn't go far enough.
Yeah.
And also, there's not enough horror in it to sustain it as a horror movie with only these couple of storylines.
Quite. What do you think of the cast then in this one?
Some were good, some I found annoying. It wasn't. The cast weren't brilliant, even though you've got an Oscar-nominated actress in there.
True.
I didn't think she was particularly great in this.
Well, I mean, at least I had a chuckle with Julian Barrett. There's that. It's always nice to be reminded that Minehorn exists. I remember Minehorn. Minehorn was awesome.
It's a new version of the word awesome that I've not yet come across.
Okay, so thumbs up, thumbs down on In Fabric.
I think thumbs in the middle.
In the middle, you're Joaquin Phoenix in
It's
this.
a wobbling
You're Commodus.
one, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're Commodus. Okay, I'm going to go with about the same, to be honest. Let's talk then about that's In Fabric is Friday, June 28th. That's in cinemas. Coming up Tuesday, July the 2nd, though, Spider-Man: Far From Home, second Marvel Cinematic Universe outing for the character of Spider-Man. Sophomore more effort for Tom Holland as the character as well, and the first Marvel movie to come after the events of the frankly genre-redefining Endgame, the return of the king of the superhero genre. So you're not a fan of these, as we've stated. No.
I watch one a year just to kind of say that, as
dip
a
your toe back
token,
in.
just as a token gesture.
You're not picking the DC ones, are you, by mistake? Because if that's souring you, then
I don't know. I don't know. I just turn up and watch one, and potluck. I might, as we discussed earlier, I might get something good like Black Panther or Wonder Woman, which I thought was brilliant, or might end up seeing something terrible like Batman versus Nonsense Man or whatever.
Batman versus Superman, Yawn of Justice. Yeah,
crikey.
That was the
why
worst.
Why did I do that? No, I haven't seen this. I'll be honest. I haven't seen it. I'm never going to see it.
No.
There are
You've got a daughter. She might want to see.
There are children as yet unborn who will see this film before I will. I'm never going to see this film.
Okay, so second one of these, since Marvel kind of took the reins of the character back from Sony. Tom Holland, in this instance, is recovering from the world is recovering from the events of Avengers Endgame, because there's not to drop any spoilers, but there's a noticeable shift in the status quo now.
If it was called Endgame, shouldn't they have just stopped?
No.
Why are we getting more?
It was a game changer. That was the thing.
Why didn't they call it Game Changer then? Why did they call it Endgame?
Because it was a line that got used in the previous movies. Look, I'm not Kevin Feige.
Endgame, apart from the ones we're going to do next. No.
Dude,
be
one
honest.
of the Final Destination sequels is called The Final Destination, and it's not even the last one. Come on.
The first one was called Final Destination, and it wasn't. So,
it's
the
not
whole
like
thing was a lie.
The next one is, really, really the Final Destination this time. Anyway, beside the point, it's called Endgame.
More comebacks than Krusty the Clown.
Yeah, exactly. I know, this thing's come back more times than Michael Myers, but, okay, so, right. Following on from the adventure of Endgame, the world has changed. Peter Parker goes off on a school trip to Europe and gets dragged into a European romp with Nick Fury. So Samuel L. Jackson turns up.
Hey, Samuel L. Jackson turns up in every movie.
But I think he's in about 11 of them in total. There's about 23 now. So Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury turns up, along with Jake Gyllenhaal as Quentin Beck, a.k.a. Mysterio, who is a soldier from another dimension who has followed 4 giant element-based...
Do they have the Beatles in that dimension?
I'm not sure. It's never actually specifically stated.
No, I think
I can't rule it out.
We need to find these things out.
So Spider-Man has to fight these elementals with the help of Mysterio, but at the same time, all he wants to do is enjoy his post-Endgame, post-dead friends, post-trying to get the girl of his dreams adventure. No. So here is a clip of him, basically being told what the lay of the land.
Versions of them exist across our mythologies.
Turns out the myths are real.
Like Thor. Thor was a myth, and now I study him in my physics class.
These myths are threats.
They first materialized on my Earth many years ago. I was part of the last battalion left trying to stop them. All we did was delay the inevitable.
The elementals are here now, attacking the same coordinates. Our satellites confirm it.
We have one mission. Kill it. And you're coming with us.
Mr. Fury, this all seems like big time. Huge superhero kind of stuff. And, I'm just a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, sir.
Bitch, please, you've been to space.
Now, I'm a big fan of that line. I am. That kind of brilliantly sums up what this universe should be like. I have a good time with this version of the Spider-Man character because I think he's something that this entire genre sorely needs, which is someone that's actually accessible to audiences relatively of that age. It's something that seems to have gone relatively ignored. It's like they've noticeably not tapped into something for younger kids yet, and I think that'll happen down the line. And I like that Spider-Man goes for the millennial, goes for, the touchscreen phone fanatics, goes for the Snapchatters, and I think doing that with it gives it something new that keeps this franchise, interesting and engaging. The way that he's being used to tie little parts of the Marvel Cinematic Universe together into a story that you didn't know was there as well is great. There's a gag from the last movie, for instance, about how the villain was ultimately created by background events of the other movies, and they play that to almost brilliantly comedic effect here. In terms of the sort of meta humor of it, it jumps from 21 to 22 Jump Street at times. Tom Holland's very fun. It's a flighty, frivolous adventure. I don't think it'll win you over, John, if you're not already
I'm still not going to watch it.
Yeah, I didn't think this one would really sway, to be honest. For Marvel fanatics, this is not one of the all-timers. It ain't no Endgame, that's for sure, but it's definitely no Ragnarok or Black Panther or anything like that.
It's alien language to me. I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's basically about as fun as Ant-Man was. You know, I like Tom Holland.
Don't get
me
started on Ant-Man. Fundamental flaw in that. I had made a terrible mistake watching that film.
Pills? Can you put more of the pills?
There's a huge flaw in that plot.
We'll be back when he's gone down.
Gonna talk shirts now, specifically Twillery shirts, which are just next-gen shirts for 2019. They do non-iron, untuckable, and best of all, the performance dress shirts, which are anti-wrinkle, anti-sweat, keep you cool. They deliver to the UK as well as the US, and you can get $25 off with the code OFFSCREEN, or just go to twillery.com/offscreen. Me, I'm all about that resort denim. Smooth. Do you want to stay up to date on the movies coming out this weekend? Do you wonder which movies to see and which to skip? Do you enjoy discussion of the themes in the latest movies? Stay up to date on the latest movies with This Week in Movies podcast, TWIN for short. This Week in Movies podcast offers fresh reviews, analysis, and insights for the latest movies in wide release. They won't spoil any of these movies without first giving you a warning, and it's a weekly podcast. Subscribe now on your podcast platform of choice. If you're looking to relive your favorite movie, CNN is doing something really cool this summer. I know, you heard me right. CNN. Sunday, July the 7th, their new CNN original series, The Movies, premieres. Now, you might ask, what on earth does CNN have to do with the movies? Who cares? It's basically just called they're doing something about movies. So every week, this show is going to focus on a different decade of film. It's going to start at the dawn of US cinema, which is like the 50s, 60s, admittedly. It's going to go all the way through the present day. So this week, first week, they're going to start off with the 80s. So there's going to be movies like The Breakfast Club, Back to the Future, and hell yeah, The Terminator. They're all in there starting Sunday, July 7th at 9 Eastern. And what's really cool about it is that every week after that, for the next 5 weeks, the show, which, get this, is produced by Tom Hanks and Gary Goetzman, and it's an HBO show as well. It's going to focus on a different decade. It's going to go inside some of your favorite movies. We're going to have interviews ranging from people like Steven Spielberg all the way up to like Rob Zombie. They're really covering all the bases. So check out this one. It's the CNN original series, The Movies. It's going to start on Sunday, July the 7th at 9 in the US. Seems like it's right up our alley over here at Offscreen. I'll be watching. We want to give a shout out to our friends at Runway East where we record this show. They're on a mission to provide the world's best office space for startup teams and, well, they're doing pretty damn well at it. I'm partial to the Roof Garden myself. They're in London Bridge, Soho, Moorgate, very zen places to work. Give them a peep at runwayea.st. That's runwayea.st.
And we're back for more cinematic fun. I'm joined by Talk Radio's John Hurn. Welcome back, Johnny. And what we're going to look at next? The movies on TV, I think?
I think we should, yeah. Let's have a going on the little screen.
So, your 7-day entertainment guide begins here. So we're going to start with this coming Saturday, which will be the 29th of June, I believe. And what should we pick for this week? So something for the kids, maybe?
It's a weekend. Let's go for the kids. Let's go for Zootopia.
Okay, so Zootopia or Zootropolis. I think Zootropolis in the UK, Zootopia everywhere else in the world, I think.
It's Zootopia in France. I know that.
Yeah. So this is on BBC One. This is 5:15 on Saturday afternoon. So this is, after you've had your day out with the kids, you've got like a little chill before you get to enjoy the evening. There's an animated movie on there that's pretty much fun for the whole family. I had a good time with it. Got some Idris Elba in there, which is always good.
Yeah, a young rabbit wants to be a police officer, ends up being a traffic warden. Brilliant premise.
There's some great gags in it.
It's really funny.
It's worth it just for the sloth, isn't it? The DMV.
Oh, the sloth, the gags with the sloth, and there's gags at the end as well after the credits with the sloth. The sloths, I still quote the sloths, and I still mess around as the sloths with my daughter.
Still the most popular meme on the internet, isn't it?
So funny. I mean, it's one of those kind of painful scenes. Just get on with it because you know the gag, but it's just they draw it out so much.
It's done so well.
It's very, very good. The performances are great. The cast are really cool. The animation I really liked. The story I really liked. It was just a delightful movie.
Excellent. So on Sunday, with something a bit more of a teen weepy, I would say. For Sunday afternoon, we're going to move over to E4 at 6:30 on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, The Fault in Our Stars. This is one of those films that, based on a novel, I thought, this is going to be really terrible because it's going to be like trying to eat a honey sandwich. It's going to be awful. But actually, it's a really beautiful film.
It really is. I thought it was really sweet. I think other attempts to do similar things have not worked. So I think there was Everything Everything a couple of years ago, for instance, and there was that one with Bella Thorne, that Midnight Sun, whatever it was, where she couldn't be exposed to sunlight. These kind of sub-Walk to Remember, sub-Notebook kind of slushy teen romance adaptations, and they've never quite worked in recent years as well as The Fault in Our Stars did. I thought that was really good.
I like The Fault in Our Stars because I think that although the illness that she has, the lead character has, is obviously it's predominant all the way through the film. It's not done in such a big sort of laid on thickly way. It's there, but it's actually just about her trying to not be ill. A lot of films
it has that bucket list mentality, which I quite like.
Yeah, a lot of films about illness, it's all about the character being ill. In this film, she's trying not to be.
Well, it's about the romance and the heart, isn't
exactly,
it? It's more of a love story.
And that's why I think it works. I thought it was a beautiful film.
And, I mean, we all thought it would make stars out of the pair of them at the time, and I don't quite think it has. I mean, one of them became Baby Driver, and the other is Shailene Woodley. She's on Big Little Lies, but even though that's a huge show, no one seems to know her name still.
Not her name, but you'll recognise her face because she's been in a lot of stuff.
Aren't you that girl that got paid a lot of money to be in a Spider-Man movie and then just cut from it entirely? Yeah, you. Okay, right. So on to Monday and the movie we both like. This movie. As well.
This is great.
So,
this is going.
I've got a clip for this one as well. So okay, so this is 1996's Ron Howard offering. This is Ransom. So this is Mel Gibson. I think this was an original thriller as well, even though it's an old concept. It's an original thriller. Mel Gibson is the airline billionaire whose son is kidnapped by a twisted copper, played by Gary Sinise, who holds the kid ransom for $2 million. Mel Gibson decides, as a matter of pride, he's not going to give him that $2 million. He's going to do something else entirely. And here is a clip of the only possible Mel Gibson solution to that problem.
The whole world now knows my son, Sean Mullen, was kidnapped for ransom 3 days ago. This is a recent photograph of him. And this? Well, this is what waits for the man that took him. This is your ransom.
Wait, I want to see this.
$2 million in unmarked bills, just like you wanted. But this is as close as you'll ever get to it. You'll never see $1 of this money, because no ransom will ever be paid for my son. Instead, I'm offering this money as a reward on your head.
So good.
What a great premise.
I know, it is, isn't it? Like, oh, this is the bounty for you. All of your friends are going to turn on you now. And, they managed to make it quite surprising what actually comes out of it. The third act of this is, I mean, at the time as well, was really gripping.
Oh, I remember going to the cinema to see this and absolutely loving it.
Such a good cast as well. So on top of Gary Sinise, I think you got Lily Taylor, you got Rene Russo, Delroy Lindo, really, it was Donnie Wahlberg in this.
There's a 90s cast for you.
Liev Schreiber. Liev Schreiber's in this as well. He's one of the kidnappers. Just such a great cast across the board. I had a great time with Ransom. It's a movie that holds up as well when you see it again. And you only ever see it like this, where it's on like ITV4, like on a weeknight, last thing. When you see it like this, it still holds up, and it's still a great, gripping thriller. Last time I saw it, I really loved it. It was a couple of years ago.
Brilliant movie. Absolute must-watch.
So, a channel I hate to invoke too often. Movies for Men. 12:30 on Tuesday afternoon. It's Robert Altman's 1970 MASH, the original, which is a classic, isn't it?
Oh, it's so great. I mean, this is a genius film.
And this is MASH is weirdly more known now for its TV spin-off than for the movie.
Well, it's one of the very few movies that had a successful TV spin-off. Often it's the other way around and they don't work. But yeah, it's as funny as the TV show, but it's kind of darker than the TV show.
I think that as well. I think it's a lot more pointed and a lot more insight. I mean, the series is epic. The series is an all-timer, but the movie, obviously is tunnel visioned. It's a lot more laser focused.
Yeah, it's more about the trauma of war and wanting to get out of it.
More satirical than outright hilarious, I would say.
Well, the ending, the American football match at the end is just it's pure farce. It's pure pantomime.
Well, it's a Robert Altman movie, isn't it? It does the Robert Altman thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a classic movie. It's absolutely incredible.
So just a couple to get through real quick then. So on Wednesday we've got an offering on Film 4 at 7:15 at 18:45. I don't know why I'm reading it as 18:45. 6:45, 7:15. Pick your poison. Tomorrow When the War Began on Film 4. This was a sort of franchise that never was. This was intended to be a sort of Australian counterpart to The Hunger Games. It was based on a series of YA novels, and it basically plays like an Australian take on Red Dawn.
Yes.
Like, literally that teens who have to become sort of guerrilla warriors when their country is invaded by hostile foreign powers. I thought really good.
Well,
I actually really liked it.
Why would you want to invade Australia?
I don't know.
Everything in Australia wants to kill you. There are insects that want to... teenagers don't need to go and fight to defend Australia. They just send the insects out there.
just
send the snakes and the
hang
spiders.
back,
Send the
open a
animals.
brew.
Even kangaroos try to kill you in Australia. You don't need to fight an invading force. Just send the nature out there.
So yeah, if you want to see a movie that got buried by the remake of Red Dawn around the time, but was infinitely better and never went anywhere, Film 4, 6:45 on Wednesday, tomorrow when the war began. You know, we've all got Sky Plus, things like that. You can record these things, like they're all good times, etc. Thursday night then, what I think is the best of the Blade movies. So 9 o'clock on 5 Star, Blade 2. Do you remember Blade 2 at all?
Oh, I've seen Blade 1 and I've seen Blade 2, and they kind of blur into one, so I couldn't remember it. It's been years since I saw it.
Blade 2 was the one that co-starred Norman Reedus, Ron Perlman, Matt Schultz,
right.
Danny John Jules, Leonore Varela, and I think Luke Goss.
Well, you can't have everything.
Yeah, well, the villain was Luke Goss and he wasn't bad. It's also the one that was directed by Guillermo del Toro, and it was just far and away the best of the Blade movies. Absolutely awesome. It's on 5 Star, 9 o'clock, Thursday night. Absolutely one to fall asleep to, I would say. Kick off, you to sleep around 11 if you're looking for that kind of a knock-off. So, Friday night then. Close out the week in style. Richard Curtis has got a new movie in cinemas this week.
Yes, yeah.
So why not close out the week with what I think is his best one, if I'm really honest.
I like Notting Hill. It's I didn't like the very last shot of it. That's incredibly twee and unnecessary.
Not flawless, but then again, it's a Richard Curtis movie. They're never flawless.
I mean, the scene, where Julia Roberts he takes her around to dinner, which is where the idea came from, apparently.
Well, okay, we've got the clip. We've got a clip of that bit. So we'll just explain the premise first of all. This is ordinary schlub bookstore owner in Notting Hill, played by Hugh Grant.
Yep.
Meet by chance Hollywood megastar Julia Roberts.
Yep.
They fall for one another. They try dating. Can it really work out between the two of them? Here's what happens when Julia Roberts, at a dinner party, meets Hugh Bonneville.
Always imagined it's a pretty tough job, though, acting. I mean, the wages are a scandal, aren't they?
They can be.
I see friends from university, clever chaps, been in the business longer than you. They're scraping by on 7,000, 8,000 a year. It's no life. What sort of acting do you do?
Films, mainly.
Oh, splendid. Oh, well done. How's the pay in movies? I mean, last film you did, what did you get paid?
$15 million.
Right.
That's such a good moment, isn't it?
It's a great film.
Very Richard Curtis moment, that as well.
And of course, a great performance by Rhys Ifans.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine, if you will, the stupidest man who has ever lived.
Yes. and a lot of it was shot in, I believe, Richard Curtis's actual house.
Really?
Which he then, I think, put on the market and sold for a lot more than it would have sold originally because it had been in Notting Hill. Very clever.
My friend's family owns the bookshop, the travel store bookshop.
Oh, wonderful.
But and I've still somehow never been. But yet I have a tote bag from there. But anyway, never mind. So Notting Hill, which I think is a damn good time. That is on Friday night on ITVB. Which is not a channel I've ever actually been on, I don't think, ITVB. But ITVB, Friday night, 9 o'clock. So there it is. You have Zootopia, The Fault in Our Stars, Ransom, MASH, Tomorrow When the War Began, Blade 2, and Notting Hill. 7 films for 7 days. Get some cinematic fun. And we're back with more cinematic revelry. So, Mr. Hurn, let's have a look then what people can watch at home this week. They don't want to... They've gone through their 7 days of telly picks. They don't want to have to find anything else. Let's give them some DVD offerings, some things they can find on streaming. What do you think? Should we start with the shiny disc format?
Let's start with a film that was only out in the cinemas really only a couple of weeks ago. I'm surprised it's out on DVD already. Fighting with My Family.
No, you see, you're actually wrong. And I know this because Fighting with My Family came out as I was coming back from New York. And it was the end of February.
No.
It was.
Really?
Because I was this close to going and seeing it in New York.
Wow.
But okay, so Fighting with My Family, which is I believe the first effort of producer Dwayne Johnson, who also appears in the film. He's discovered this documentary apparently whilst filming Fast and Furious 6 in London years ago. The story of Paige, Soraya Knight, who became...
pro wrestler. Yeah, it's a true story. He was, there was a documentary made about this young pro wrestler, English wrestler from Norfolk, Norwich, I think. Is it Norwich?
I think it's Norwich, yeah.
And she, became very successful in America. He watched this documentary, thought it was a great story, and decided to make a film about it. And so that's what he did. And he produced it, and he exec produced it.
And Stephen Merchant, who he worked with on Tooth Fairy, who was his co-star in Tooth Fairy, is the man he's gotten to write and direct this as well.
And it's really, really funny. It's a great film.
Should we play a clip? This is the parents, who are Nick Frost and Lena Headey, meeting their son's future in-laws, played by Stephen Merchant.
Oh,
and is it Julia Davis?
Such a good
Julia
scene,
Davis,
yeah.
I think. Yeah. Okay, so this is Fighting with My Family.
I mean, it's all fake anyway, isn't it? So it's
Come again?
It's not fake, it's fixed.
Yeah, if it was fake, would I have broken half the bones in my body, Def?
His left leg bends both ways.
Well, that's nothing. You should see his.
It's good, isn't it? It's a real good one. It's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, this is a really good film. It's really well made. I love the whole premise of it. I actually think Dwayne Johnson is really funny in this.
He is. He's got the right presence.
He's playing himself. And he's playing a scene where he's The Rock, but he's also, he's putting on the persona of The Rock, but also he's being himself, putting that on. And there's one particular scene that takes place at the O2 Arena that is really,
so good. I know,
really clever, where he just changes his persona in mid-sentence almost. Absolutely brilliant. I really, really like this film. Probably the reason why I think it only came out a few weeks ago is because it still sticks in my mind.
Maybe. I mean, I saw it again a couple of weeks ago. I got the screen link a couple of weeks ago to watch it again and had a great time with it. I think Florence Pugh and Jack Lowden are really well cast. I think Nick Frost and Lena Headey are really fun in it. I love that there's cameos from the original family. Dotted through. I did catch one or two of them. I just think it's a really sweet, really touching film. I actually do think there is potential in the real story for a sequel as well, so I'd be intrigued to see that. Yes, A Fight With My Family is out on Monday, July the 1st, along with Serenity, which is in no way anywhere near as worth catching. So don't be lured in by this one, because this one was it Matthew McConaughey?
Yes.
Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. So very much off the way, Hayes. So of the way Hayes get together. He is
on an away day.
He is disgruntled rum-soaked fishing boat captain.
Yes, in some kind of
tropical island.
Yeah, Caribbean island somewhere.
And his ex-wife sort of rocks up and says... In fact, I'll tell you what, we've got a clip of exactly what she says. This what she says.
My husband is joining me here the day after tomorrow. I told him that I would charter a boat for fishing tuna. I want you to take him out on your boat. Let him get drunk. Then drop him in the ocean for the sharks. In return, I will give you $10 million cash.
Yeah, it was pretty ropey, this one, wasn't it?
I mean, the scenery was nice. And, I can imagine that the producers phoned up the agent and said, we'd like to send Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway on holiday for 2 months.
And
they said, where? Is it hot? Is there a beach?
Yeah.
Is there a beach bar? And they
the
said,
Adam
yes.
Sandler School of Filmmaking.
Yeah, absolutely. And they said,
really bad.
Why not? Oh, it's not good.
There's a pivot with this film that just doesn't quite work.
Oh, the bit with the kid?
Yeah, let's not go into it for spoiler reasons.
It goes off into some weird direction that doesn't make sense.
Into odd locales. So let's go over to streaming then for this week. On this coming Sunday, which is June the 30th, you can find, if you're a Mubi subscriber, you can find Joss Whedon's 2012 Much Ado About Nothing has been added. Now, you seemed unfamiliar with this. This was back in 2012, after having just made Marvel's Avengers. Joss Whedon decided as a passion project that he was going to get his friends. Turns out that he and his close circle of friends, largely made up of cast members of previous Joss Whedon productions like Buffy, Angel, Firefly, etc., get together. Apparently this is like once a month, once a week, something like that. They get together around Joss Whedon's palatial Hollywood estate and they read plays together. And
do you know, I have seen this.
Yes,
now
that is exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
So this stars Clark Gregg from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Marvelverse, Agent Coulson. It stars Nathan Fillion. It stars Tom Lenk, Amy Acker, Alexis Denisov. In fact, I tell you what, I've got a clip here of Nathan Fillion doing Shakespeare.
Masters, I charge you in the prince's name. Accuse these men.
This man said, sir, that Don John, the prince's brother, was a villain.
Write down Prince John, a villain.
Why, that's flat perjury to call a prince's brother villain.
Master Constable.
Brady fellow, peace. I do not like that look, I promise thee.
I'm going to say something controversial here.
Go on.
Americans shouldn't act Shakespeare.
Oh God, no, not ever. Shouldn't be allowed. No.
You know, I'm not in any way kind of patriotic, but only the English should act Shakespeare.
I say thee, fiend.
It just doesn't. It just doesn't work for some reason. The American accent doesn't work with Shakespeare.
What do you think of Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet? Out of interest, William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, as he calls it. Because I didn't see the cinema of that.
As if it was anybody else's Romeo and Juliet. I think if you have really good actors, it can work. But on the whole, I think a lot of Shakespeare on screen doesn't work. So the Kenneth Branagh version of Much Ado About Nothing was brilliant because what a terrific cast.
True story. Every time someone mentions that to me, and I remember Keanu Reeves in it, I have to just say the words, "What ho, my lord."
But doesn't that just prove my point?
It does a bit, doesn't it? Whoa. Okay, so another movie. This one nowhere near as good as Much Ado About Nothing. This is on Amazon Prime from Monday, July the 1st. Under the Silver Lake, which is the sophomore effort from It Follows director. Is it David Robert Mitchell? Yeah, this one was sort of like The Long Goodbye, but for people on MDMA.
Oh, I don't know. This film just didn't stick in my... I'm struggling to remember anything about it. And
kind of a Slums of Beverly Hills detective noir thing with Andrew Garfield.
And something about a lake, something in the lake, not under the lake.
It reminded me a lot of Southland Tales at the time, particularly around the point that it starts injecting all these weird conspiracy theories.
It's the sort of film that it's really trying to be something that it isn't. It just doesn't quite... Whatever it's trying to achieve, it doesn't quite achieve it.
Yeah, I'm just not quite sure what it was trying to achieve. That's kind of the problem
I couldn't work it out. Yeah.
I mean, Garfield's fine in it, actually. He's fine.
He's fine. He's not amazing. He's fine.
And I watch Riley Keough in anything.
Yeah.
So there's that. But other than that, no, don't be lured in by the whole director of It Follows thing. This ain't a patch on It Follows. This is more like that guy's own personal.
They should be drowned in the Silver Lake.
Yeah. This should be like left dead under the Silver Lake. Yeah. Okay, so Stranger Things Volume 3 or Season 3, whatever. That's coming to Netflix this next Friday as well. And this time it's the summer. That's the theme of this one. It's going to be summertime in Hawkins. Lots of stuff around carnivals this time around. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
I have an 11-year-old at home who has been counting down the weeks.
That's the thing. She must be like the perfect demographic for Stranger Things.
She absolutely loves it. We binged watched the first series in one evening together. And that was the third time she'd seen it. But she made me sit down. We had a daddy-daughter evening together, and we binged watched the entire first season. But I have to say, I thought it was really funny, and I really loved it. And
did you think the second matched up? Do you think the second season matched up to the first?
I think it kind of suffers from... A lot of the shocks have already been done, but I like the way that they developed the creature storyline.
Yeah, I think they expanded the mythology nicely enough. I'm intrigued to see where they go with it. So that's Friday the 4th on Netflix. I take it you'll be watching.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Excellent. Well, so that gives me that's it for this week. So that just gives me a chance then to thank you, Mr. Hurn, so Jonnie Hurn, for joining me. Don't forget to check out White Chamber, which is coming to
Netflix in August. The Scottish BAFTA-winning White Chamber that I was one of the producers on, starring Shauna MacDonald and Oded Fair. It's a sort of dystopian future government experimental chamber movie.
I like
it's a cracking film. It's it's coming out in Netflix, let's say in August, and something a bit different and brilliant.
So loads more to come next week as well. Don't forget to stop back for a look at more cinematic offerings, which next week is going to include such heavy hitters as a documentary on Steve Bannon and a submarine movie starring Colin Firth, because that's the kind of lineup you get every day. So that gives me a chance to thank Mr. Hurn for joining me. I've been Van Connor. Thank you for listening. This has been Off Screen, and well, as always, we'll be back.